cast out from heaven in such an embarrassing way. Look at the way in which he was cast out. And this is the being people are going to seek power from his hand. Luke chapter 10 verse 18. Luke chapter 10 verse 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. This is the story of Satan. This is how he was thrown down. The strength of the blow that Michael and his angels gave to this being, making him to run and to fall to the ground with such an uncommon speed. And this helpless being is the being that people, church leaders, that are supposed to understand. If it's politicians, we will understand that they don't know the way. They are in darkness. They are in ignorance. They do not understand what is what they're supposed to understand. But the annoying part of it is even church leaders goes to devil to seek for power. He goes to marine to seek for power. He goes to occultism covens. He goes to see. He goes to ordinary snake called python to seek for power. It is an embarrassment. And that must stop. That all that has done such a thing, acquire power from such a strange place, do no more have any place so long as the altar, the church of the living God is concerned. Revelation chapter 12 from verse 7. Revelation chapter 12 from verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. This is the being that people goes to seeking for power, a being that was helplessly cast down to the earth in such an embarrassing manner. People goes to him seeking for power. What will a powerless being give unto you? No power outside holiness. No power outside holiness. This being people go to, for to acquire power from, is himself powerless. If he has any power, he will not if you have any power, he will not give that to you. He will use that power to help himself and not to suffer such embarrassment and shame. Preachers going to see power from the devils and demons. What a shame. It is an indication that you have lost holiness, because if you have holiness, you will not branch off seeking for power where there is no power. Power belongs to holiness, and where there is holiness, there you will see power. That's why we need to retrace our feet back. That's not in there. Devil does not have anything to give you. Demon does not have anything to give you. Marine spirit does not have anything to give you. It is a shame for a preacher to go to python, to go to snake, to go to crocodile, to go to the river, to go to the burial ground, seeking for what is not there. What are you going to see for burial ground? If there is power in the life of those dumped in the burial, do you think they want to be there? They would have used that power to resist death when death was knocking at the door of their lives. But because there is no power there, that's why they lie there helplessly. Why and what are you going there for to do? Retrace your foot back. If you want power beyond the imagination of man, if you want power that will control the entire universe, if you want power that will put devils and demons to where they belong, if you want power to exercise that way, the fullness of God's power on this earth, branch to holiness, stand for holiness, gain holiness, and as soon as you allow holiness in your life, my brother, my sister, you'll be able to exercise the authority, the power in His fullness of God on this earth. So, holiness is the key. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14. Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Holiness is the key that opens the way for man. Holiness is the key, and key is power. And that power is holiness that bridge the gap between man and God. Without holiness, we will not see God. Without holiness, we will not hear God, and He will not hear us. That's why there are so much prayers on earth, but little or no answer to show for it. It is holiness that we need, and not fasting and prayer. Listen to this. I am not in no way condemning fasting and prayer. I recommend it. Kingdom power, fully engaged in prayer and fasting. What can we do without fasting? What can we do without prayer? That's why each year we have 21 days set aside, March 1st to 21st, October 1st to 21st. Each year of this movement, we keep doing it. It is an assignment. It is an assignment heaven have handed over unto us as a means to communicate, as a means to fulfill the assignment given unto us. Brothers and sisters, but don't major on fasting and prayer while in sin. A fornicator have no prayer, have no fasting to pray. An adulterer have no fasting, have no prayer to pray. An abortionist have no prayer, have no fasting to undergo. A sinner of whatever nature, you do not have prayer, have fasting to engage in. All you need, break the yoke of sin from your life. All you need, have an encounter with the Lord. All the fasting that give them ulcer, all the fasting that give them confusion, all the fasting that give them madness. Sometimes you hear that man, it was because he went to the mountain and he fasted and he become mad. That tells you it's not of God. Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights without any food. He wasn't mad. Moses fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. He was not mad. Elijah fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. All these men tried fasting. None of them went mad. How then will you tell me this person fasted and became mad? That tells you he lacked holiness in what he was doing. He just went on hunger strike, and then all the faculties of his body reacted, and madness becomes his portion. If we will add holiness to all the prayers and fasting going on earth every day, there will not be any more place for darkness on this earth. That means long time ago we will have been able to chase them out of this earth. Go for both holiness, fasting, and prayer. But if there is any option to make between holiness, prayer, and fasting, church, I recommend holiness. If there is any option to make between holiness, prayer, and fasting, preachers out there, I recommend holiness. If there is any option to make between holiness, prayer, and fasting, humanity, I recommend holiness. Go for holiness, so that you'll be able to have a place with God. Prayer and fasting without any holiness in it become a trouble with God. Look at how God described prayer and fasting. Then you will understand why if there will be any option, then I recommend that you go for holiness. Isaiah chapter 59 from verse 1. Isaiah 59 from verse 1. Behold, the Lord's hand is not short, is not shortened, that he cannot save, neither is ear heavy, that he cannot hear. But your iniquity has separated between you and your God, and your sin have hid his face from you, that he will not hear you. For your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips are spoken lies, your tongue are muttered perverseness. None called for justice, nor any pleaded for truth. They trust in vanity, speak lies, they conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity. They hatch cockroaches are eggs, and wave the spider's web. He that eateth of their eggs dieth, and that which is crushed breaketh out into vipers. That is the reason why your prayers are not answered. Look at Isaiah chapter 58 also again, and look at how God put it here. Cry aloud as I'm crying here now to you. Cry aloud as I am doing it to you here, to you out there. Spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet. I'm sure my people, their transgressions, and the house of Jacob, their sins. Yet they seek me daily in prayer and fasting, and they like to know my ways as a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinances of their God. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to God. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou fearest not. Wherefore have we afflicted our souls, and thou takest no knowledge. Behold, in the day of your fast you find pleasure, and exalt all your labors. Behold, you are fast. Ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with a feast of wickedness. You shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. Is it such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Lord? Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo heavy burdens, and to let oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke? Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh. That's why you see it here. The Lord is talking that the preferred one among these three is holiness. Seek holiness, go for holiness, desire holiness, instead of noise making that has filled the church award today. Very soon we'll enter January. You're going to hear 17 days fasting. You're going to hear 60 days fasting. You're going to hear 40 days fasting. You're going to hear different number of times and days and weeks and months that people will set aside for fasting and prayer. In that fasting, there is wickedness. In that fasting, there is oppression. In that fasting, there is fornication. In that fasting, there is adultery. In that fasting, there is abortion. In that fasting, there is all kinds of sin, wickedness, iniquity, and transgression. And the Lord is saying, no. Have everything. Fasting cannot save you. Fasting cannot deliver you. Fasting cannot do anything for you. Fasting have no power. Fasting and prayer that lack holiness have no power to put your name in the book of life. Have everything so that you will not suffer in vain. We must all agree, all understand what God desire, demand from us. Going with fasting and prayer is like seeking salvation through works. You can never obtain salvation through the work of your hand, because while you are laboring doing those works, God look down on them and discover they are as dirty as a filthy rags in his sight. I repeat again, we do not condemn fasting and prayer, but any fasting, any prayer that must go far must be fasting and prayer that is clothed with holiness. Therefore, let all believers, all intercessors, all prayer warriors, all preachers, all workers, all leaders, church at large, let all be clothed with holiness. Let all go for holiness, so that we will be able to fulfill what God wished for us to fulfill on this earth. I told you, if there is option to make, go for holiness. But if you can join the forces of holiness, prayer and fasting together, then the dark world will be in trouble. That situation you are going through will be in trouble. That whatever it is will be in trouble. And the way will be clear for you to obtain that which you are looking for from God. No devil, no demon, no foul spirit have what it takes to withstand that prayer clothed with holiness. What? No prince of Persia have what it takes to stop the force of that prayer clothed with holiness. Many of you will begin to think, what happened to Daniel? Daniel prayer was stopped. Daniel prayer was hijacked. What are you saying, preacher? Yes, Daniel will come to your mind. But remember that the holiness they profess that time was limited. Very, very limited. It is Jesus that brought down to the earth the original holiness that man was created with, which in his carelessness throw it away. That enemy now began to afflict man. Before man lost his holiness, no devil, no demon have the capacity to withstand the man. Come to where man was. No, none of them had ever entered Eden before that mess came came into existence. With that holiness, coupled with fasting and prayer, no force anywhere, take note of that, can stop you, can delay you, can deny you. It is lack of understanding of the dispensation we are and the nature of holiness that we have now, which Calvary brought back to humanity, that makes today believers to compare themselves with the Old Testament saints. Let's understand that. It will enable you to flow very, very well in the court of prayer. The gap between the Old Testament saints and that of the New Testament saints, listen to this, is the gap between God and animal. The Old Testament saints were redeemed with the animal blood, and the New Testament believers were redeemed by the blood of God. There is a name that Peter called it. 1 Peter chapter 1. 1 Peter chapter 1. I want to read from verse 18. 1 Peter chapter 1 from verse 18. For as much as you know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things. What was he referring to? He was referring to what the Old Testament saints make use of. Silver and gold from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of Jesus. Look at the name he called it. As of a lamb without blemish and without spots. So, our gap between us and the Old Testament is too wide. It's like heaven and the earth. But believers of the New Testament do not know. I told you earlier in this movement that there are songs we don't sing here. We come, you see, people gather in the church, oh, go send another Elijah to bring the fire. That's a stupid song. That's a song that advertises the weakness and the ignorance of the New Testament believers. Elijah did his own with a little capacity he had then. And now we have the fullness of God's capacity in us. And we want Elijah to come back to earth. And before now I described it that we are just demanding God kill all of us singing that song. We are worthless. Kill everyone. Singing that song. Take us out of the way. And that's why there are some songs we stand vehemently opposed that it will never be sung in this church, because we don't want to bring ourselves back to where we're redeemed out from.